Okay, so this is the follow up to today's video that I made this morning. It's actually a lot later in the day, and figured I would, since I put my business out on Front Street, that I would tell you exactly what happened after. So, she showed up, she came, um, and it was like, I don't know if anyone is like me. I can know in an instant if this is going to work or not, just by the energy that you come and bring towards me. There's a certain vibration or a certain frequency that when that's your teammate, or that's the person that the universe sent for you to lock in with, it's a weird vibration, and it doesn't even have to be in person. It could be via text, it could be an email. It's like you can feel the frequency. She unfortunately did not have that frequency. So I was just like, the minute I opened the door and I looked at her, and my first interaction with her, I was like, I was disappointed, because not only were you late, you were late being late. She texted me, which was very good. She texted me at like 6:44 and told me, okay, I'm going to be a bit late. And the funny thing is, she said, I'm going to be a bit late. I'm going to be there at 7:30. A bit late is not 7:30. A bit late is 7:05. That's a bit late. You're going to be really late. You were going to be a whole half hour late. So I'm like, okay, you're a whole half hour late. Thank you for texting. Thank you for letting me know. I'll see you at 7:30. 7:30 came and went. No phone call, no text, no follow up. So I'm like, okay, what is happening? So I texted her at like 7:40, and I was just like, hey, are you still coming? And she texted me back, yeah, walking down Lane Street now. I'll be there in 2 minutes. She got here roughly around 7:44 or so, about 7:44. She got here about 7:44. I was a little annoyed because, one, you're late. You're late on a situation where time matters. Does that make sense? This is for my parents that are asking for services, that have home health aides that are coming to your house. Because, like I said before, I have to be going through this for a reason. When someone is providing a service for you or your children or your child, time matters. It matters because your time is important, your child's time is important, and they are getting paid to be on time. You have to understand, these people do not run on love and light. They run with money. Their service, they're getting paid, then the agency that sent them is getting paid. The only person not getting paid is you, but you're getting the service. What I need everyone to understand that is seeing my face, you don't just take what you're given. They have a responsibility to give you the right person. They do. It's, you're interviewing this person. That first day isn't, okay, here's my kid, or she didn't even see Dylan. Fuck, you gonna see my kid? She didn't even see Dylan. She saw Jaden because Jaden is the second in charge. So when I'm not there, she's gonna be working with Jaden. So she had to meet Jaden. So when she walked in, I was like, this is not it. But I was like, you know what? Let me give it a shot, because I know people will be like, well, Keisha, you can only go on frequency. Okay. So I'm like, you know what? Let me give you a shot. Let me see if you can pull it out. You might have been, it was raining, things happen, whatever. So she comes in, she has headphones around her neck. She comes in, and I looked at her, and I was just like, okay. And I could clearly see that she was nervous, because I interview for a living. So I could clearly see that she was nervous. So I didn't really, I said, welcome to the house and home and stuff. And I told her to sit. She was too fidgety for me. And I was watching her, and I was just like, okay, you're not comfortable, meaning you're not comfortable in your own skin. And you are going to be working with an autistic child, and he needs people who are solid in their self. They know who they are, they know what they bring, and they know what they want. And that wasn't it. Does that make sense? I know somebody's like, ah, oh, this is a lot. Yeah, it's because I am not just getting Dylan services. I'm building an ecosystem around Dylan just in case I can't be there. He has a whole system in place that he can help, that can help him function and help him stay leveled and all that other stuff. And it replaces one person doing all of it. So right now, what I'm doing is I'm getting more hands because I don't have enough hands to hold Dylan. And I'm getting it and hold Dylan, build a freaking career, build a freaking empire. I don't have enough hands. You understand? So it's kind of like, okay, bitch, it's all hands on deck because I don't have enough hands. So the person that is going to step in that aspect has to be better than Jaden. It has to, they have to be better than me, because it's not, if not, what am I having you there for? Right? So anyway, so the jittery shit made me go, okay. And I was watching it, but once again, I was like, okay, let's see what else you got in your bag. Because I'm watching her and I'm like, let me see what else you got in your bag. So she sits down, and after I told her, I asked her to sit like twice. So she finally sits down and stuff. And I'm looking at her, and I explained to her, time is important. Dylan runs on schedule, he runs on time. So you being late on the first day does, it's not a good look. You understand? And I told her that. I told her straight, and I told her, I prefaced it with, I'm going to be fully transparent with you. I'm not pleased at the fact that you're late on your first day. And she was like, oh, but the bus said when I went to bed last night, the bus said this, but when I woke up the next morning, it was a different time. I'm like, I'm thinking to myself, yeah, that's how buses work. Like, that's how buses work. You can't check the night before the bus. You could have an idea, but you have to make sure that that bus is still on schedule. And you're coming from Brooklyn? No, you have to make sure the buses are on schedule. So I was just like, okay. And she was like, I guess I got to wake up earlier. Yeah, you do. And I asked her, is it going to be a problem for you to get here? Like, where do you live? And that's when she told me she lives on the border of Brooklyn. And I was just like, okay, that's far because you got to take a train and a bus to get to, because I live far out on in Queens. So you have to get like a bus and a train to get to us. And I'm like, is this going to be a problem? And she was like, no, it's not going to be a problem. So I was watching her and I was like, okay. So then I, because like I tell you, that first day is an interview. It's not, that first day is not the day that they should automatically work with your child. No one touches Dylan until they get past me and Jada. You understand? That's it. You got to get past us first to get to Dylan. And Dylan was listening to all of it in his room because I could hear him. He was listening to all of it. And I was like, okay. So then I did what I normally do at an interview. I said, tell me about yourself. So she started telling me about herself, and she started telling me, I've worked with autistic people before. And I was just like, okay. And people have to understand, when you say that to a person who has an autistic child or a child on the spectrum, you telling me I've worked with autistic people before doesn't help us. It makes me go, it's kind of like when people go, yeah, I have black friends. Like, it's like you really don't know what you're doing with it, but you're kind of just saying it because you believe that it's cool, and it's really not. I hate it. I hate when people say that to me. Like, oh yeah, and I'm like, why are you even bringing it up unless you're gonna tell me how you worked with them? She didn't tell me how she worked with them. She just told me that she worked with them, and it's it's not good to say, because it's kind of like it's a bad sales pitch. It's kind of like, it's like a bad sales pitch that you kind of strike out on. So I wouldn't do it. Those are for people who are applying for it. I wouldn't do it. But anyway, and I was like, okay. And I was listening to her. Her energy was very low. Granted, everybody like, okay, it's the morning. I don't care. You are working with a child who is on the spectrum that needs you to be a certain frequency. And if you are not that frequency, you can't work with him. And I'm watching her and I'm like, okay. And I'm just like marking stuff off. And I'm like, this is not a good fit. And I was sitting there and I was like, all right. And I was listening to her. And then she was like, oh yeah, Thursday I probably won't be here. And I'm like, come on, girl. Like I'm trying to figure a place for you, girl, but you're pushing it. She was like, yeah, because she's in school. And I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, when do you go to school? And she was like, oh, I go to school. I think she said she went to school all through the week. And she was like, but it's online. Thursday, she has to actually go into school. So I was like, okay, when do you go to school? Because I went to school. So I was like, when do you go to school? She goes from 8 to 1. And I was just like, my dumb ass was like, 8 in the evening to 1 o'clock in the morning. And then, but I heard my spirit go, no, no, babe, it's 8 a.m. And I was just like, I said, so how are you going to work with Dylan? Because she's supposed to work with Dylan from 7 to 3. So it's kind of like you're going to be in school while you're with Dylan. You can't, that's not going to work. And then she was just like, oh, I'll just check in and say I'm here, and then just put it down, and I'll do the work later. I looked at her and I was like, so how are you doing school? And I had to ask her again. I know she was like, this woman must be slow, because I was like, she was like, no, all I got to do is say I'm here, and then I don't. And I'm like, but how are you learning the lesson? And then she was like, yeah, I just find it later. And honestly, this is one of the things that I say to people all the time. You have to be careful who you're standing in front of and what you're saying. You're talking to a scholar. You're talking to a person who coaching is her thing and teaching is her thing. Does that make sense? Teaching is my thing. Teaching is who I am. And you're and I think what it is was she believed she already had the job. And I think that's what's happening with a lot of these people that are getting sent out to families. You believe that you already have the job. No, you have that job with them where they're going to place you. You don't have a job with me. You have to interview. You're going to be touching my kid. You have to interview. You have to qualify for that position. I'm hiring people. You're not just giving me anyone. That's not how that works. It's not. That's not how that works, and I need you to understand that. If the agency that you are working with is just handing you people and you're like, yo, these people suck, you need to get with your actual overall care design manager or care manager and be like, we need to switch this agency. What I'm understanding is there are a bunch of agencies. So, like right now, I'm not promoting them because I'm still working with them and the communication with them is really bad. I'm working with Wellbound. My case design manager, he's designing the whole case and bringing in different people for different services for Dylan. So he's dynamic. I love him. But the company that we brought in right now, they're not doing what I need them to do. The only thing that's making me go, okay, I'm going to give it another shot is the VP that I had to speak to. His name is David, and Hannah. Hannah is the case coordinator that's trying to get Dylan the home health aid. Her energy, the way she cares, she'll text you after 5 o'clock when she should be off the clock. That's the dedication that I'm looking for. It's not necessary, but her communication style is impeccable, and she's only been there 4 months. So it's like, and I tell her all the time, Hannah, you're killing it. You're doing a really good job. Those are the only two reasons I'm still at Wellbound. Other than that, we could have moved to a different agency. Does that make sense? Because Wellbound is one agency who hires a home health aid agency. Do you understand? So there's a lot of hands in this money. Does that make sense? There's a lot of hands in this money, but what you have to understand is you control where it goes. You control where it goes. If at any point I told Gerard, I don't like this thing with Wellbound, we need to find a different agency. We are going to move Dylan's case from Wellbound, and someone else is going to get that government money. Does that make sense? You are not tied into who they give you. You tell them you don't like it, they got to replace it. It is not, oh, we give you and you just take what we give you. That is not how this works. You are building people around your child to make sure, or yourself, to make sure that you can function. And if they can't get their communication right, do you think that communication with you is going to be right? It is not. It is absolutely not. I have not sent so many emails out about one topic in a really long time, but I stay on top of them because this is just the beginning. We just started. So if you start out with a poor baseline, you can only go down. You understand? But if you start with, no, this is how we're going to operate, people. I don't care how you operate with other people. That's not, you're not going to bring this dysfunction here. I have too many moving parts, and I have my own personal moving parts and my own personal life that I'm trying to navigate. So I don't need anybody coming in and causing that confusion. So back to the young lady. So then she was like, oh, and she was like, oh yeah, I'll just check in. And like I said, I'm a scholar, so you saying that to me makes me go, I don't want a person like that taking care of my kid. You don't have your own priorities and your own structure in place. You can't help structure him and get him where he needs to be. That's how I look at this. I don't look at it as I need someone to wipe Dylan. I need someone to clean Dylan up. I need someone to clean up after Dylan. That is not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for someone who is going to work with Dylan so much that he's going to want to do it himself. That's what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for someone. I'm not looking for a maid. If I needed a maid, I would hire a maid. And that's not. But you're supposed to be a care provider that is going to teach him to kind of take care of himself. You can't take care of yourself if you're not even going to school properly. And I was just like, yeah. So I was looking at her, and this was where I had to make a quick judgment call, because it came to a point where it was like, okay, Keisha, are we going to be the old Keisha, or are we going to be the new Keisha? The old Keisha would be like, oh, I can fix her. I can mold it, because I could have. I 100%. She was easily moldable. And I was just like, I was looking at her, and she was fidgeting with her phone. And I asked her, I was like, you trying to clock in? She was like, yeah, I have to clock in. And I was like, okay. So I was looking at her, and the funny thing is, this all happened very fast. I was looking at her, and I was like, okay, who do I want to be? Right? Like, who am I becoming today? Who am I going to present today? Because like I said, the old Keisha would have been like, oh, I can fix her. We can figure it out. I can mold her to the way I need her to be, and all this other stuff. And then the new Keisha was like, why do we have to? It is not our job to mold everyone. It is not our job. And I got up, and I started hearing both sides, because you have to hear both sides. Sometimes your old self is going to pop up and want to drive. You can't let it. You can't let it if it's not the right situation. So I got up, and I walked over to Jaden's room, and because I wanted Jaden to talk to her or like interact with her. But then by the time I looked at Jaden, and I was like, yeah, no, I gotta send her home. And I made peace with it, because when Jaden sat down, Jaden was like, hey, sorry, I had to go do something. And I said, I will like call Jaden out here so he's aware of what's going on. And I explained to her, this is not a good fit. And I told her, I'm going to be fully transparent with you. I don't want to waste your day by having you work all day. And I know for a fact I'm not going to call you back. I'm not going to have you come back here. So I believe it's best for both of us if you leave now. So at least you can pick up another assignment, because all she has to do is call her agency and just be like, yeah, she sent me home, and they have to pick up another assignment. That, at least that's what I'm assuming how it works. But I knew that her her frequency could no longer be in my home, because it was going to pull, it was going to fuck with the ecosystem in my house that we've already established. And it wasn't a good fit. It really wasn't. It wasn't that she was a bad person. It wasn't that I didn't trust her. I didn't know her. I just know what I felt and what I saw and what I understood about how she's maneuvering her life. And I knew that you can't maneuver your life. If you can't maneuver your life, you're definitely not going to be able to help me maneuver this kid. And I told her, I said, the people who are, I am bringing this team together for Dylan. I'm his advocate first, not his mom. You understand? So it's like, my whole thing is, what's in the best interest of Dylan? What is going to make him feel comfortable to come out of his shell? She would have made him, and then me and her would have had, I would be like, no, I need you to do it like this, and no, I need someone to come in with their own shit. you know I shouldn't have to teach you your job. That's not my job. My job is to receive a service. My job is not to train your people. I No, that's not what I'm here for. I'm not here for that. The old me would have been like, "Oh, we could fix it. We could do it." And then I'm stressed out and tired, taking care of someone who's actually supposed to be taking care of Dylan. No, we're not doing that anymore. I've done that. It doesn't work. So I decided to have her go, and Jaden walked her out, and she said, "Thank you, for like seeing her." And I was like, "You're welcome." And that was it. My kid has to, it has to be right. It has to be right. And I'm like this with everyone that I love. It has to be right. You cannot half-ass service cannot be half-assed. And that type of service, you are servicing vulnerable people. You can't come in going, yeah, it's, this is what I'm doing. No, I want someone who, this is what you want to do, this is what you feel called to do. So that's today's story. Love you guys. Stay up, stay blessed. Deuces, and I'm out. Click it.